A very warm welcome back. You're watching Your Story on SA Today as we begin a week of special broadcasting right here from the Results Operations Centre, where the SABC News Channel across its platforms, radio, television and digital, will be giving you up-to-date news on what's developing on the elections front, leading up, of course, to that big day on Wednesday when we all vote, and then on Saturday when the official announcement is made. The Results Operations Centre here in Pretoria and Swane is perhaps the nerve center of the IEC's operations, and we'll be bringing you live broadcasts and updates from here. And we'll be talking to a number of people who try and make sense of all the things that are taking place and happening. And today, one of the events that played out in Giyani was the robbery of ballot boxes at one of the electoral stations there. And to unpack this and some of the other issues, I'm now joined by political analyst Levy Ndou. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the program. This is a concern. We've never seen anything like this, that a robbery of ballot boxes taken at an election station. What is that telling us?
Good evening to you, Peter. Good evening to the viewers at home. Indeed, this is quite worrying. We've had elections in the past since 1994, and we haven't had events similar to this one's happening. But it tells you a number of issues. Firstly, apart from the internal arrangements in the IEC, it then tells you that we have got some section of the population that seem not to be interested in this vote, but not only being interested, they go beyond their lack of interest and want to disrupt the elections. In all the elections that we have had, we had very credible, free and fair elections. And if you have this kind of events, just on the eve of the elections, just on the day of the special votes, it tells you that there should be some part of the section of the population that wants to create an element where the credibility of the elections would end up being questionable. But also at the same time, it also tells you about the policing that we have. One would have expected a situation where even when you're casting special votes, you would have the police being on high alert to ensure that this kind of activities do not happen. We need to avoid a situation where certain individuals and political parties will say, we feel that because of certain events that happened, we feel that the elections were not credible. And that is an area where South Africans, or most South Africans, wouldn't love to go.
We're also seeing people on the streets in some areas saying no one is going to vote. We are going to prevent other people from voting. Demonstrations have been are illegal this week, but they're defying this. Again, service delivery issues, whatever you want to call it, that they're calling it. Another development that we haven't seen before, where people are prevented to vote by other people who are disgruntled about their conditions.
We haven't seen this happening, and it should be something quite worrying. But the way we understand rights as citizens is different based on where we come from or our backgrounds. To some of the people that are participating there, they might only see it as an expression of a right to say, a right to demonstrate. But also at the same time, these people are preventing or they are infringing on the rights of other citizens who have to exercise their fundamental right to vote. And I think it's important for those that are embarking on these activities to know that in the process of exercising their rights, they should not infringe on other people's rights. But let's look at the trends in South Africa. The trends in South Africa is that when you participate in an illegal strike or in an illegal march or destroy property, as long as you are a group, there are no consequences. Schools have been banned, clinics have been banned, there is nothing that happens, and the very same people who do all these sort of things would, after a very, very short space of time, be roaming the streets and no consequences at all. And South Africans are aware that in terms of enforcement, that is an area that South Africa is actually lacking.
What does it tell us about the voters? I mean, you know, young people haven't come to vote. They've kind of stayed away. 9.8 million people who are eligible to register to vote haven't bothered. And is it saying that we don't believe in the political parties or the political system, that we're not going to vote, and therefore they say we will rather demonstrate than vote, instead of saying our vote might be able to bring the conditions that we want?
It's interesting that young people, mostly young people, did not register to vote. Maybe another question would be, are those young people who are registered to vote indeed going to vote? But for me, I think we need to look at the messages coming from the different political parties. Different political parties across the board put an emphasis on issues that don't directly affect young people.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, it's unfortunate that we're running out of time, but we're going to have many conversations over the next couple of days or so. So thanks so much for giving us those initial thoughts, particularly about what's played out in Giyani. Thanks so much indeed for your insights, and we look forward to more chats with you in this busy week.
You're welcome, Peter.
Thanks so much indeed. All right, so we're going to go take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll start wrapping things up. So stay